What you're about to see stays along the lines of the abortion topic, but we'll have a little bit of fun with it. I'll try to laugh at it. I personally believe that this video and the premise of this video is absolutely evil, and it's so disturbing what this group is actually advocating for right now. But this is according to FaithWire. It says an activist tells young kids that abortion is, quote, all part of God's plans. Okay, so I broke this video down into 9 sections. It's not too long, but I think we need to take a look at each section and what this crazy woman is talking about to actually break apart and intelligently converse about this. Okay, so let's take a look at the first portion of the video here.
Do you think that sometimes it's not okay to have an abortion?
I want to say if you're being reckless, if there's nothing wrong going on.
I don't know. I just don't agree.
So what are we here to talk about today?
Well, I had an abortion.
Oh.
So what do you know, or what have you heard about abortion?
I don't exactly know what happens, but you go and basically get rid of the baby from inside you.
What have you heard?
That.
Same thing. Have you ever talked to somebody about abortion before?
I actually wrote a paper in 5th grade about it.
Wow. What was your paper about?
Abortion is okay. And it also depends on what's happening and why they got the abortion.
So you think it's okay depending on the circumstances?
Yes.
Let's start off with this. The basic premise of this video is a woman who has had an abortion, and she just so happens to be the woman who is heading up this whole hashtag Shout Your Abortion campaign. So she's putting it out there, okay? This woman is sitting down with impressionable kids who she is going to force her opinion on and try to get them to change their minds. Young kids. This isn't an equal level of intelligence, conversation of age and everything else where she's trying to convince an adult of her age that abortion is okay. She is taking young, impressionable kids and trying to tell them that abortion is okay. Okay? It's not okay. I just said a lot of okays there. But the boy in the end there, right? Do you know anything about abortion? Yes, I wrote a paper on abortion when I was in 5th grade about how it's okay in certain situations. In 5th grade? Okay, let's jump back to what I was just talking about before about how public education has been failing us, okay? So a 5th grader is writing a paper on abortion, okay? This is exactly what we're talking about the miseducation of America's youth today and how education is being used and weaponized against culture, morals, values, principles. This is why I always tell people, one of the main reasons why we started to homeschool beyond Common Core, beyond state standardized testing, beyond the BS of what the evolution versus creation and everything, where there isn't even a middle ground taught, or even creation taught as what some people believe. Okay, we're certainly, it's not okay to talk about Christian things in school, but you have to learn the pillars of Islam, right? You have to learn about evolution, but you can't learn about what people say about creation at all. And it's so infuriating. Okay, a 5th grader writing about abortion has no idea what he's talking about. I'm sorry. What they should do is have people to come in on both sides that have not had an abortion, had an abortion, and in the various cases on each side, and present their opinions and how they went through the circumstance to get an equal level playing field of what was going on. But I can tell you right now that is not what is happening in our public education system. What I was going with that is one of the main reasons why we pulled our kids out of school and started homeschooling them is because one of the arguments I hear from people is I say that when I don't want our morals and values as Christians, as a family, to be torn apart and shredded, where someone is going to tell my kids or anyone else's kids that your parents are wrong and you need to correct them. And if you think I'm crazy, look back within the past decade with Al Gore actually going into the schools talking about climate change and telling the kids in an assembly, your parents don't understand what they're talking about, but you are the future. Climate change is real, and you need to get your butts home and tell your parents that climate change is real and change their mind. This is exactly what they're doing. I do not want my kids going to school and having their morals and values stripped away from them and new ones for social justice crap implanted in their heads and coming home and battling against us and setting us apart for future family feuds and everything. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, if you have your kids in public school right now, you're making a mistake. And sometimes that is the fact of the matter, that you have to send them there because you're both working and that's what it takes to support a household. Sometimes, like in Bill's case here, who's been chiming in, I haven't had a chance to read your comments yet, Bill. Last I saw of him, he was working a night shift. His fiance or wife, I don't know if they're married yet, fiance, was working the day shift, and they were trying to work that. I have multiple friends that work different shifts just so that they could be there for the kid for when they come home from school and everything. But what good is it? Okay, sit down with your spouse and actually look at what is being taught in school. Go to a school board meeting for once in your life. Just go and listen to some of the topics that are being brought up. Go and listen to how the federal and state government are mandating crap to be brought upon your kids, that your school board that you elect to go into the boardroom and make decisions based on your child's education have no say anymore. Okay, 20 years ago, you could take a certain topic, a certain policy, and say, we're not going to do that in our school and be okay with it. Now, if you do that, you lose federal funding. Okay, so what choice do you have? At this point, the only reason why you elect school board directors onto the school board is to go over budget concerns, okay, and to hear issues within the school district. They have very little to no control over curriculum, what is taught, or anything anymore, because they're too afraid that the federal government is going to come down and smack them down and say you lose your federal funding. So we're put into this horrible place right now where you either say, okay, as a conservative, right? If you're a conservative, if you're in a conservative area like I used to be where I was a board director, I am put onto that because of the morals and values of the community that I represent, okay, that align with me. They voted me in. And on top of that, I have to be fiscally conservative with the taxpayer money and represent them as well. Okay, so if I say the federal government should not have their say in curriculum and state standards and a common bar for Common Core, that level of success that they have to reach and everything, if I disagree with that and I say just screw you, the federal government, we're going to do things our own way and we're going to raise these kids right in this school district, then we lose federal funding, and I, as a conservative, fiscal conservative, have to go to the taxpayers and say, you know what, sorry, we have to raise your taxes astronomically. So you're caught in a tough place. Or do you, as a board director, on the alternative, sit there and think to yourself, you know what, maybe in an off chance one day the community will come in here and go, what the hell happened to our kids, and realize that the governments, both the local, state, and federal, all three of them, have been mandating crap that has been ruining the education in our country and putting us at 27th in the world with all the stupid stuff that they've been putting onto these kids, is ruining them. And maybe in mass they come in and they demand a change and are willing to have the conversation about their taxes being raised. But I can pretty much guarantee you that is an astronomically small percentage of a chance that you're going to have that kind of awakening in your community. I'm sorry. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place for all that. I got some people heated. So, okay. Sorry, we're only on part one of abortion. I went into education. That was my fault. Okay, let's go into part two.
Why did you have an abortion?
A few years ago, I got pregnant, and I really didn't want to have a baby.
May I ask what happened? Did he not wear a condom? Did the condom break? Was it
pre-ejaculation?
Such good questions, Vanessa.
Thank you.
He wasn't wearing a condom.
Why wasn't he wearing a condom?
Have you ever had two options and one of them like seems easier at the time?
Oh yeah, like you could take a shortcut or you could go the long way.
It was the
around.
shortcut version.
Okay, these kids actually happen to be asking some very good questions. And what we find out in the course of this is that Miss Shout Your Abortion was reckless in her sex life. They were not using a condom. And what she happens to do is break this down into, have you ever had a circumstance where you decided to do one thing because it was a shortcut, right? Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever decided that on New Year's you went out and had a party and you got way too drunk and decided it's a good idea to drive my car an hour home from the party, right? And take that chance on all the major highways and off-roads and everything else, right? And you happen to hit a person and kill them. Well, why should you be punished for something like that, right? It was just a choice that you made at the time, right? Choices have consequences, unfortunately, in reality. So she's comparing this then to taking a shortcut. And believe me, I actually do believe that this is a shortcut. And a shortcut in life that's not going to get you anywhere, unfortunately. Let me see what we got going on here. This situation where she's trying to equate this to bad decisions. Unfortunately for her, these kids actually started asking some deeper questions. Don't rely on little Vanessa over there to actually go even deeper on this and ask why they chose to be reckless in their sex life at all, because they don't.
What did your partner think at the time?
You know, I think we were both like bummed out that I got pregnant, and he was just like supportive of what I wanted to do.
Were you reckless at the time?
I mean, I wouldn't really say that I was being reckless. Mistakes happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just don't do that in the moment. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I'm glad.
Good answer, kid. I don't know what the hell she was trying to say either. Okay, she starts off with he said, were you reckless? Again, she's kind of caught a little off guard in this case, right? She, you see, I wouldn't say I was reckless. Is this subjective now, according to what you felt you were doing? You were reckless. He wasn't using a condom. You got pregnant. That was a reckless activity for you then. If you chose to abort this baby based on your recklessness, that is what happens. That is cause and effect in that case, right? And then on top of that, he says, I forget what he said, but let's go back to the analogy of drunk driving and everything. Would you say you were reckless for going out and drunk driving and have? Oh, yeah, okay. Would you say that it was reckless for you to go out drunk driving? Well, I wouldn't say it was reckless. Could you get away with that? No, because we all inherently know that it isn't a subjective activity to go out drunk driving, right? So we all know that would not have happened. The accident would not have happened where you killed someone or potentially killed someone had you not taken that choice of being reckless. The other thing that he said was, now I just had it and I forgot it again. So that's what it was. It wasn't something that he said. It was something that she said. So going back to that, she said, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes mistakes happen. Could you get away with that in our analogy that we're currently using with drunk driving and killing someone? I don't know. I don't think I was being reckless, but sometimes mistakes happen. You know? Do you see how this all falls apart? The only way that you can argue against this analogy and think that I'm being way out of line in this case is if you don't have a respect for human life at the most basic fundamental stages, okay? And that is why this is the main subject of what we actually need to be talking about, is the respect for life and everything. Yeah, Eric said, what a bummer to get pregnant. Sheesh. Well, if you listen to Obama, I love my daughters, but if one of them got pregnant, I wouldn't want them punished with a baby, you know? This is the kind of society that we live in, unfortunately. Okay, let's go on to part 4 of this.
Are you guys religious?
Yeah, I'm Catholic.
Have you ever heard of what like the Catholic Church thinks about abortion?
I don't think the church liked it.
Yeah.
Because like they like see it as like killing the baby.
What do you guys think?
I think that it's up to you,
Same.
because
I feel supported by that. I believe that like life begins when a person has a baby.
Oh.
Clearly, like some people believe that life begins at conception.
Which it doesn't.
Do you know what conception? Does that make sense? I
Yeah.
mean, you
When
know
a
about
sperm
goes
enters an egg,
into the egg.
it becomes a fetus, and then the fetus is in a lady's tummy.
Vanessa.
Or in the womb. It's not really a human being yet.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I kind of like to compare it to like a sea cucumber. It's not thinking, it's just living. It's like your arm is not capable of complex thought. Neither is a baby inside your womb.
I like your take.
Like your arm, you are not capable of complex thought at this point either. Mr. Sea Cucumber. From this point forward, we're going to call you Mr. Sea Cucumber. Okay, let's jump back a little bit here. One of the first things that they asked of the 2 younger girls on this one is, are you religious people? They say that they're Catholic. What does the Catholic Church think about abortion? I don't know when this was filmed, but I would say, what day is it? What day and time? Could be any position of the Catholic Church at this point, because the Pope is in and of himself a social justice warrior at this point and completely turning against the word. Like, talk about Antichrist type things going on in the Catholic Church right now. The Pope is bad news for Catholicism. That's all I gotta say about that. He may do some good for people and be recognized for that, but his bastardization of the word has been just left and right over the past couple years. In regards to those 2 young individuals as well, what I thought was really sick was when she turned to the girl on her right side in the video, on the left on the video, she said, "What do you think it should be though?" And the little girl's like, "I think it should be up to you." And it's like, yeah, you're forcing a literal child to sit with you while you discuss you're having an abortion, and you're asking her what her thoughts are. Unfortunately, it's the same thing that we talk about all the time in regards to public education, on why, in the case of that California school teacher, how she could possibly have had a teenage boy walk up to the front of the room, sit down, and the teacher just start cutting his hair off in chunks. Why he would sit there. People are like, what kind of teenager would do that? Why would they just sit there? Why would they sit there and allow this to happen instead of getting up and walking away? Because we have ingrained in our children that the people in the public education system are authoritative figures that know better than you, and you absolutely have to listen and obey. And obey is exactly the mantra of what these people want you as a child to do. So while she's asking this young girl over to the right-hand side of her, what do you think? Well, I think it should be up to you, I guess, right? Well, yeah, she's sitting there and basically going along with the authoritative figure in the topic. I would have loved to have seen what these kids would have said if this was also a pro-life advocate in the room with them as well, and they were hearing both sides. Because at this point, you're just indoctrinating these kids into your own beliefs and everything. Then we go over into some of the other areas, and the one boy doesn't think that it deals with religion, I guess. And then the 2, Mr. Sea Cucumber and little Vanessa over there, unbelievable. Oh, that's what the Shout Your Abortion woman was saying to the black kid is, well, I don't believe that it's a baby until it's born. What? You have an uneducated individual educating other kids at this point and indoctrinating them. Because as Eric was talking about, that was chiming in on the podcast there, about how advanced technology has gotten and where we've come to. At 26 weeks in the womb, a baby can be removed, and with support of medical devices live outside the womb. Okay, so to say that that's not a baby inside, while it's inside, but it can survive outside with help. A baby born, I think, after 30 weeks or something like that, doesn't need much help medically to survive and everything. So at this point, you could be going into labor and say, you know what, jab something in there into the brain of this clump of cells, as they would say, and kill it because I don't want to give birth to a baby on my labor day, right? That's what this woman is advocating for, is abortion all the way up through late term, okay? Then we get to Sea Cucumber Man and Vanessa there, and they start arguing about that conception isn't when life begins and everything, but they can't really give a good idea of when life begins. Actually, I'll be honest with you and just give you a little spoiler alert. At no point in this video do they ever break down when life begins, except for when she says, just as soon as they're born. Then that's life, right? Because it requires a support system. Well, so do people in prison, okay? They would not be able to survive in that jail cell without the support of the food services people and everything else that goes along with the prison activities. So what should we do? If someone commits a crime and goes to prison, should we just automatically kill them there because they require a support system to continue to live? Answer me that, right? Do people that go into comas that might have a chance of living, what if it's a 2-day, 3-day coma? What if it's a 3-week? What if it's a 3-year coma, right? If there's a chance that they could come out of a vegetative state because there's actual brain activity, but for some reason something else isn't connecting and you have to go on to life support, should we just cut them loose? Even if it's just going into a coma for a couple minutes because they require a support system? These are the types of questions that obviously this woman, the Shout Your Abortion woman, is not having with these kids because it's inconvenient, obviously. Let's go on to the next one.
At any point were you like considering not doing it?
No, actually, for me, it was like an instant feeling. Like I was like, I'm pregnant, okay, I'm having an abortion.
Was your family mad or okay? Or?
They were okay, yeah. They were like really supportive, which I think was another reason I wasn't scared, is because I knew that I had so much support.
Have you told a lot of people or just your close family?
I told my Lyft driver on my way here. I've told so many people about my abortion, so I decided to tell everyone on Facebook that I had had an abortion and that I was choosing to tell people that because I felt like the pro-choice movement was really silent. The status update went viral, which like wasn't just people being like, hey, I had an abortion too, yay, let's talk about it. There were like a lot of super angry people who were like harassing and abusing and threatening me.
I like to post controversial things. I think everyone should, within reason, have self-autonomy, you know? I'll post on Facebook sometimes, like, just your friendly reminder that abortion isn't murder.
Here's another friendly reminder. You need more education. This Shout Your Abortion woman is a regular old comedian. Do you tell anyone about your abortion? Well, I told my Lyft driver on the way here. Yeah, all right. And it's so ridiculous what she's getting into. The reason why she's shouting her abortion across Facebook and social media and everything is because she feels that the pro-choice movement has been silent. When the heck has the pro-choice movement ever been silent in my lifetime especially? But the whole point, the only way that Roe v. Wade would have been passed is by an active and unsilent mass of people that were saying that abortion is okay. And ever since then, the only reason why it hasn't been overturned is because of that unsilent mass of people that apparently want to shout their abortion wherever they want to. You know what I mean? It's just crazy what this woman is coming out with and saying to children right now. Let's go on.
Have you ever been like attacked online by pro-life people?
Yes. But I don't call them pro-life, I call them anti-choice. Because who would disagree with that statement, right? Like being pro-life.
Yeah, like you want people to live their lives.
Yeah. To me, the phrase pro-life is propaganda because often the people that say that don't want to take care of people who have babies that they can't afford and then are totally poor. They want to deprive people of access to healthcare, and I'm just like, that's not, you guys aren't pro-life. I'm pro-life.
How can she honestly sit there and say that she's pro-life? That she's trying to change a narrative, trying to change the definition of who would be actually considered pro-life. She considers herself pro-life. First of all, you're pro-abortion, okay? Pro-choice, that's not a thing for that, okay? You are pro-abortion in that case. Pro-choice is choosing to use protection before you have sex, choosing to wait till marriage or anything, choosing abstinence or something, then choosing to have the baby and take care of it yourself, choosing to give it up for adoption, or choosing some other form of allowing this child to live and give it up for a life that it deserves, okay? Really, the most choice is involved in the pro-life movement, and it's just bastardized by the pro-choice movement or the pro-abortion movement. And in this case, her saying that she's taken a beating from pro-life people, at no point does a pro-choice person or pro-abortion person ever take as brutal a beating as someone that stands up for the life of a baby. And I would actually encourage you, okay, if you are pro-life, if at any point you're sitting there having a conversation with someone like this evil woman, she's evil, and they are spewing this type of stupid stuff at you and calling you an absolutely evil person that doesn't want women to have the choice of control over their own body and wants women that were raped to conceive a baby that they're going to hate and everything, they're going to come up with the most off-the-wall, obscure things. In majority of cases, you're talking about women like this who just didn't want to give birth to a baby and were reckless in their sexual behavior. All that stuff has already been said so far in this video. She was reckless with her sexual behavior and she just didn't want a baby at the time, right? If you find yourself in a conversation with someone that's advocating for all this kind of stuff and you start feeling bad about your own position and start questioning that, stop for a second, tune them out, tune all their craziness out, and just think to yourself this: should I feel bad about standing up for the life of a baby right now? Because that's what it comes down to. You are standing up for the lives of millions of babies. And if that makes you evil, then label me evil, okay? I stand up for the lives of babies. If you want to label me an evil person, I will proudly wave that banner. I want to save babies. I am evil, apparently, okay? Because that is what you're dealing with at this point. Was there anything else in regards to that? I don't know. Let's go on to the next one here.
Do you think it's possible to be anti-choice for yourself, but pro-choice for others?
Yeah, everyone has a different background with like faith and just how they think about the world, how they think about when life begins. Is it an arm? Is it a sea cucumber? Is it a baby?
Yeah.
We know that you think it's an arm.
Shut up, Mr. Sea Cucumber, all right? I brought you in here because I wanted to have a diverse group of kids that I was speaking to, but you've kind of outlasted your time. At this point, we obviously know that you're getting to kind of like that adult male stage there, and adult men aren't allowed to have an opinion on abortion because they're not the ones that are conceiving the baby. So once you played your part, you're kind of supposed to just sit there and shut up, okay? I mean, really, you know? Actually, I have a great response to that too. I am pushing my wisdom onto you as listeners to the program and everything on how to approach certain subjects and take a funny route with some of these things in serious conversations so that you can just stop their train of thought and make them hit a brick wall with it, right? So we've gone over a couple strategies on the clump of cells and everything like that. You're a clump of cells. If someone ever approaches you and you are a male and they say, you don't get to have an opinion on abortion because you are a male, you go, shut your mouth. I am identifying as a female today, and because of that, just for the duration of this conversation, I do get to have an opinion on abortion. That is using their own arguments in other areas against them in order to have a conversation with them, and that is another mic drop for you right there. So, little advice from me. You get to have an opinion.
At the end of the day, it's my body And the idea that a group of like old white dudes in the government would tell me, yeah.
I can't tell you how many times some old white dude has told me how I should be, how I should look. And
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're baffled by.
There it is, right? Old white dudes. It's just a bunch of old white dudes saying that we can't be doing things. And it had to be the narrative that comes up because it always comes back to just old white people in the government that are getting their say over you, right? So let's go on to the last part here. It's unfortunate it's coming to an end.
Is it weird, like, being defined by this one thing that you did?
It feels like I'm like living my exact right life. God's plan.
Yeah. Drake.
Okay, so this woman is actually saying that it's God's plan that abortion exists and is used. No, it's evil, okay? It is evil what she's doing here, which is There was a point in time, and it wasn't too long ago, I would even say at the beginning of Obama's term, when Obama came out in the primaries and said that he was pro-life. I'm pretty sure he said he was pro-life. I think Hillary Clinton said it too. That there was a certain amount of, I don't want to say shame. I think shame is the word, but I want to at least say privacy that was involved with abortions and everything. Like, you had an abortion and you at least kept it quiet. It was your choice. We get it. It was your choice, but you kept it quiet because there's a certain amount of a stigma that should go along with that to say, okay, I felt like it was something that was a necessary evil at the time that I had to go through with, but I need to push forward with life for whatever reasons, whatever those reasons were for you. I completely disagree with that line of thinking, but that was the way of going about it not too long ago, right? This whole movement now of people like this with this whole hashtag shout your abortion campaign and everything, that is absolute evil, okay? To go out there and push it even further than what public education is doing in regards to teaching it as just another form of birth control and everything, to push this on the people as, you know, not only should you get abortions, but you should be happy about it, you should be proud of it, you should be waving a freaking banner out there like Mel Gibson and the Patriot, except instead of old Betsy over your head, you should be waving an abortion flag over your head and everything, and just publicly displaying, yes, I killed a baby in my womb, right? That is a level of sickness that we have gotten to in our society. That is where we have come to. And it's really unfortunate. She talks about the first question in this video, in that portion of the video, was actually, how does it feel to be basically labeled by, and what is the word that they use? To be identified with a single action that you are, that's you, basically, right? I forget the damn word. But anyway, in regards to that, it's basically this kid is asking, the pro-life movement has made you the shout your abortion campaign person because you had an abortion. How does it feel to be identified that way on that single issue and everything? The completely wrong mentality of thinking. I as a pro-lifer never knew who she was before this stupid crap that she's trying to pull here. So it's not the pro-life people that are labeling her as this. It's this evil woman who has taken it upon herself to campaign out there on the idea of shouting out your abortion and representing people that have had their abortion and trying to encourage people to revel in it, to celebrate abortions and everything. That's not only is it the level of sickness I was just talking about before, but the only people that should be celebrating abortions is the abortion industry that actually profits from doing these things. Not only are they profiting off of every abortion that's performed, but they're also getting government funding on top of it as well. So they're getting paid by the taxpayers that a good portion of them disagree with what they're performing there, on top of getting a profit from having the abortion and as what's that network? Project Veritas recently pointed out, also profiting from selling the baby's body parts as well.